Assalamualaikum everyone. Welcome to Coffee with Ustaz. I'm your host Indra Sahib. Welcome to another lovely episode of Coffee with Ustaz. For those who are listening and also viewing this content, please do not forget to like and share our podcast. And if you appreciate our content that we put in and post on our social media every week, please do show your appreciation by buying us coffee at www.buymeacoffee.com/snmtv. I would like to welcome our beloved Ustaz, Ustaz Anwar Hussein. Ahlan wa sahlan, Ustaz. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, Jazakumullah khair, and I hope everything is well, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah, Ustaz. I hope. I think the current issue is the rise of Omicron cases.
Yeah. A lot of people
Yeah.
were hit by this.
Mm.
I also recently recovered from it.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Hope you are fine, Ustaz.
Inshallah, Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah. Glad to see you back in the studio, Ustaz. Hopefully tonight we're going to cover on the topic of hukum akal. I think from from our last discussion, I think our last discussion we stopped at the part where we go in depth on the definition of what is intellect, how to know whether a person have or possess that intellectual skills. I think moving forward now, I think we want to go into the basis where it's been laid out, or the foundation has been laid out by Imam Sanusi from Kitab Muqaddimat, where Imam Sanusi lay out the fundamentals of wajibul akli, mustahil akli, wajaiz akli. I think for the benefit of our viewers and listeners out there, maybe we want to go in depth on this framework, Stats. Maybe you can begin with the definition, inshallah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah. When it comes into hukum al-aqli, we mentioned a few things in the previous episode. And we have understood that hukum al-aqli, it is something that is based on the rational and the intellect. It is not something that is based on repetition. So it is established rationally. This is a difference between hukum al-aqli and hukum al-adi. Because before that, we spoke about hukum al-adi, and we mentioned that hukum al-adi, it is based on repetition. Yani you give a ruling to a particular thing, and based on its occurrence. Since it occurs again and again at a particular way, a particular pattern, so you give a ruling to it. This is hukum al-adi. But when it comes to hukum al-aqli, it is something that is not based on repetition, but it is something that is established rationally. So these are some of the things that we mentioned, and it is divided into three categories. We have wajib aqli, mustahil aqli, jaiz aqli. Wajib aqli, basically it means something that does not accept any non-existence. Mustahil aqli, something that does not accept any existence. Whereas jaiz aqli are the possibilities. It can accept any existence, and it also can accept non-existence.
When you mention wajib akli, I mean it cannot accept non-existence.
Yeah.
How do a normal average Joe approach this framework of thinking, Ustaz?
Okay. To go in depth into this, it is divided into two parts. It is divided into two parts. Number one is on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we speak about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and when we speak about the subject of wajib and aqli, there is a difference between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The contingencies. But when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is wajibul wujud. We in the knowledge of aqidah, when it comes to explaining who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our ulama mention alamun, Allah is a name, lidhati wajibul wujud. That speaks of an entity that is wajibul wujud. The existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is wajib.
It's compulsory.
The existence of Allah is wajib. It's necessary.
Necessary, yeah.
So when we speak about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we say that the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not accept non-existence. The existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we say his existence and is wajib, is necessary, meaning it does not any accept any form of non-existence. Because if God any accept any non-existence, meaning it is contingent. If it is contingent, then he cannot be divine. So when we say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is wajibul wujud and his existence and is absolute and necessary, meaning he does not accept any form of non-existence and he has no beginning, he has no ending, he does not any accept any form of non-existence. And this is something that is accepted any rationally. Rationally, because if you do not any accept any God any as absolute necessary,
Yes.
it will entails that he is contingent. Because the moment something any accept any non-existence, now it is jaizil aqli, not wajib, not it is based any on wajib any aqli. So the first thing anyway, when we speak about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his attributes, all the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is wajib al-wujud. Wajib any al-wujud. So this is any point number one. Point number two, when we speak about contingencies, we also use the term wajib aqli on certain contingencies. We use wajib aqli on certain contingencies. For example, any mathematics. We mentioned for example 2 plus 2 equals to 4. We say this is wajib. This is wajib aqli.
Yes.
This is wajib any aqli. A mass takes up space. If you have a body or a mass,
yes,
it takes up space. This is wajib aqli. Why? This does not accept the otherwise. Because otherwise becomes impossible. So every mass takes up space. So this is also we say this is based on wajib aqli. We do not say it's wajibul wujud, but we say it's wajib al-aqli. This concept of every mass take up space, it cannot be the otherwise. You cannot. There is not. It is impossible for a mass that does not take up space. And this is pertaining to contingencies. So when we speak about wajib aqli, basically we are saying these are the things that does not accept non-existence. It does not accept non-existence, meaning it cannot be the otherwise. It cannot happen the otherwise. So this is basically the meaning of wajib aqli. So when we speak about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is different than the contingencies, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when his existence as what we mentioned, and his attributes is wajibul wujud. And only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, only God is wajibul wujud. Other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in terms of existence, is jaizul wujud. Yeah, so we should not be confused on so many of these terms. So when we speak about wajib aqli, meaning it is something that cannot change, that it happened that way. 2 plus 2 is always 4. It cannot. There is no possibility of it and it becomes 3, or there is no possibility of it and it becomes 5. Once you say 2 plus 2 equals to 5, and we say this is mustahil aqli. This is impossible. So these are the things that cannot change. So it is different than hukmul adi. As what we mentioned, hukmul adi is based on repetitions. It can change because the experience of human beings changes. Now,
the beautiful thing about this hukum aqli, Ustaz, and allow me to ask you this part where we go further into this understanding of wajibul aqli. Just like you mentioned that wajibul aqli, that is you can't picture, or the mind cannot receive the picture of its non-existence. That means if allow me to seek your guidance on this, Ustaz. So if I were to say that Allah's existence is an absolute necessary, so that means I cannot picture. That means in terms of practicing this wajib aqli, I cannot picture in my mind that Allah is non-existence. Allah cannot be exist. That picture cannot be how to say
rationally
cannot be rationalized.
Rationally cannot be accepted.
Yes. So that
rationally,
does that mean that I'm practicing the right approach on wajibul aqli?
Yeah, because you see, the thing is, when we speak about wajibul wujud, when we speak about wajib aqli, we say these are established rationally. That if you go against it, it becomes any mustahil. When you go against it,
Yes,
it
yes.
becomes any mustahil. It becomes any impossible. At times, any what you call it, it becomes any jaiz any aqli. When we apply any certain conditions to certain things. So going back to what you mentioned and pertaining to the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if a person for example he says that I don't believe that God exists. I don't believe that God exists. Earlier we mentioned that the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is absolute and necessary. So saying that God does not exist, this is mustahil aqli. Mustahil aqli.
It opposes the...
It is against rationality.
Yes.
It is against rationality. Yani, to look at this universe that is contingent and to say there is no creator to this universe itself is impossible.
Yes.
Because we are saying something come into existence from non-existence, and despite that there is no creator. So you have something that is created but no creator. This is mustahil aqli. So that is why we say that to say that existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is wajibul wujud, rationally it has to be accepted. Then the existence of the one who created the universe has to be an absolute necessary existence. So if a person say that does not exist, that is mustahil aqli. But if a person says that not necessary that the one who brought all these things into existence must be absolute necessary in terms of his existence. If he say that, then it goes into jaiz al-aqli.
Yes.
So if jaiz aqli, now he's saying that God is contingent, then again he goes back into mustahil aqli.
Ajib.
So this is the framework basically. The framework of wajib and aqli, mustahil aqli, jaiz aqli. So this is how we can understand realities. This is how we can put things into perspective if we understand this framework. But if a person doesn't understand this and he jumble things up, wajib aqli also can be jaiz aqli, then that can lead him into astray. That can lead him into an intellectual crisis. He will lead him into believing in things that is impossible.
Yes.
So there are many people nowadays they believe in things that are
impossible.
Yet they thought that is absolute necessity. But it is the opposite actually.
Yes, true.
Yeah. So as Muslims, alhamdulillah, we find that our scholars the first thing that they taught us is this, so that we don't think wrongly, so that we put things into perspective. Even when we speak about divine attributes, how we understand divine attributes from this framework. So that is why this is the beauty of Islam, that every single tenet of faith is based on solid foundations of proofs, and all these things are based on necessary, absolute and necessary in terms of its foundation.
I think the best and easiest way for us to understand, first of all, how to approach wajibul aqli and mustahil aqli, because it goes hand in hand. And the best way for us to approach wajibul aqli and mustahil aqli for those brothers and sisters in Islam, we can start by learning what is the attributes and the characteristic of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that is wajib and mustahil at the same time. Maybe I get your guidance on this, Ustaz. Example, Ustaz, we know that Allah qiyamuhu bi nafsi. One of Allah's attributes is qiyamuhu bi nafsi. Opposing that is ihtiyajuhu li ghairi. So definitely, to understand the concept of qiyamuhu bi nafsi, you have to understand what is impossible for Allah to possess.
Yeah.
So I think that's the best framework for us to approach.
Of course.
Wajibul aqli and mustahil aqli.
But first thing is we need to understand the definition of what is wajib aqli, what is mustahil aqli, what is jaiz aqli before we go into
that framework,
into the attribute. So for example, you gave the example of qiyamuhu bi nafsihi, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not in need of other than him. Allah is what you call it, independent, and he is not in need of a specifier. He is not in need of something else other than him. So first thing we say that it is wajib aqli.
Yes.
Wajib aqli. that God and he cannot be in need.
Yes.
This is wajib aqli. This is wajib aqli. This is absolutely necessary.
Yes.
That God and he cannot be in need. The moment any God and he is in need, then he is not he cannot any be God.
He's
He cannot be
dependent.
divine. He cannot be divine. So he has taken the characteristics and of contingencies. So he himself and is a contingent.
I see.
If he himself and is in need any of other things.
Yes.
So firstly, we understand that qiyamuhu yani bi nafsihi yani is from any wajib aqli. Yani it is one the attributes that is wajib
Yes.
for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what when we read any books any of Tawheed, for example, we say sifatul wajiba lillah. As-sifatu al-wajibatu lillah. Meaning these are attributes that are necessary. These are attributes that are absolutely necessary from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we need to understand when they say al-wajiba, what wajiba are they talking about? They are talking about wajib aqli. That these attributes must be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because otherwise it becomes mustahil. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in need of something else,
Yes.
then this is any mustahil any aqli. Mustahil any for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be in need of something else. Because
Yes.
if Allah were to be in need of something else, then he's contingent. Then he cannot be wajibul wujud and he's jaizul wujud. So this is how we approach other attributes as well. So all the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are absolute necessary.
MashaAllah.
So the opposites are the impossibilities.
I think definitely this can be the framework for us to move forward to learn how to apply wajib aqli and mustahil aqli, Ustaz.
Oh yeah. This is very, very important and very, very crucial, and especially nowadays. And for example, you have nowadays some Muslims when they don't learn all this. So you find them for example saying that why not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take a place. Why not? Like they are saying Allah is a body, why not?
Why can Allah present himself like a human being?
We have the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that every night, literally the hadith says that every night yanzilu rabbuna, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala he goes down, he goes down into the first sky every night.
Yes.
So some people they do not know about in Arabic we have this haqiqah and majaz what is literal and what is metaphorical.
Yes.
So they take any literal meanings in hadith or verses of the Quran that are the meanings by right are the metaphorical meanings. So they ascribe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the hawadith, with contingencies.
Yes.
They say that Allah move from one place to another place, and Allah is a body, and Allah take up space, and He is in a place.
Yeah.
So all this we call it in the mughalatat. All this what you call it these mistakes and all these faults is when a person does not understand that the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are wajib, and all these things are the impossibilities, and you are ascribing things that are impossible for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are describing things that are present in contingencies.
Yes, true.
So where is the verse in the Quran when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned laisa kamislihi shay'un wa huwa sami'ul basir, that nothing is like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you cannot be ascribing any form of attributes of the contingent beings of the creation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is why we have this framework, wajib aqli, attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala must be wajib. So you cannot ascribe something that is jaiz in terms of attributes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Mujassima fell into this, and they ascribe attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as jais. So they say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can move from one place to another place, that he is on his arash, and he takes a place and he dwells in a place, and every night he goes down into the first sky. Imagine this the aqidah. Very some people are saying, imagine every night Allah goes down. So he goes down every night, what you call it, from the arash. So they believe that this is literally. See, our scholars mentioned taking meanings, literal meanings from the Quran, and he can lead a person to serious consequences. In the Quran, Allah say, "Wa nahnu aqrabu ilayhi min hablil warid." that we are nearer to human being than his jugular vein. If you take literally, what does it mean? Where is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
In a physical form, that means it's very near lah, Ustaz. Right. If we take in on that approach.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned,
very
وَنَحْنُ
dangerous.
أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ حَبْلِ الْوَغِيدِ. Yani we are nearer to human beings than his jugular vein. So if we take the meaning and literally, so we will come to the conclusion that Allah is inside every human being.
Na'udzubillah.
And our scholars had mentioned that if a Muslim and he says that
Yes.
Allah indwell in something, that is kufr. So if a person take literal meaning and from the Quran can lead him into this. So that is why our scholars had mentioned no one and he can interpret in the Quran except those who understand the Arabic language.
Yes.
Because in Arabic the Quran is full of metaphorical meanings. وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ حَبْلِ الْوَغِيدِ, and it doesn't mean that Allah is inside your body. But the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encompass, meaning Allah knows whatever you are doing. Yeah, you see.
Yeah.
So it is interesting, and Shaykh Ali Jum'ah, one in one of his talks, and he mentioned when a person and he asked him, how do people fall into tajsim nowadays? He said because they do not study Kharida Bahiyya.
Ajib.
So
Ajib, mashallah.
So this person was asking, what do you mean, ya Shaykh? Because in Kharida Bahiyya, Shaykh Ahmad Aghdir, and he began by speaking about hukum al-aql. Speaking about hukum al-aql. What is wajib aqli? What is mustahil aqli? What is jaiz aqli? And then he said that all the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are wajib. All the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wajib. So you cannot ascribe the attributes of contingencies to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is a principle in Ahlul Sunnah. This is a principle in Ahlul Sunnah. Some of our scholars mention kullu ma khatara fi balik fallahu khilafu dhalik. Anything that comes into your mind about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, fallahu khilafu dhalik. Allah is not like that. Why? Because your mind is constricted into understanding contingencies.
Yes.
So we cannot understand the reality of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are speaking about the laws in understanding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the reality of Allah, only Allah knows. So we negate everything and we say Allah is not a body, Allah is not any substance, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not a mass, Allah is not in need of a place, nor he is binded by space. So how our scholars came out with all this? Because of the Quran. Because the Quran mentioned laisa kamithlihi shay'un wa huwa samiul basir. So everything that we find that is within contingencies, we have to negate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is understanding mustahil aqli. Because we say anything that is within the attributes of contingencies, it is mustahil for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
No. I think the part where we common folks or the commoners, we should dwell or go in depth on the learning of knowledge, Ustaz. Because knowledge is the key or the path towards discovering the truth.
Yeah.
And if you manage to discover and realize the truth, that's where your intellect can work in this framework or this process.
Yeah, this is the beauty of Islam. This is the beauty of Islam. We find what you call it in theology, in Aqidah. Our ulama, they have this methodology when they write any books in Aqidah and so on and so forth. So all these things it trains in our mind in reality. Train our mind and how we need to think correctly, and how we need to understand the evidences behind everything that we believe in. That everything that is compulsory upon every Muslim to believe in, we find there are evidences rationally, not only textually, not only Quran is saying, Hadith of the Prophet is saying, but also rationally.
Yes.
So every tenet of faith, everything that we believe in Islam, it is not something which is impossible rationally, but it is absolute necessary.
Yes.
It is absolute and necessary. We can speak about the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We can speak about the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All these evidences are based on absolute necessity. And it is based on conviction, not zon. Based on yaqeen. The evidences are based on conviction. So this is the beauty of Islam. So the more we study, the more we become convinced. But the problem is if we don't study. So if we don't study, that's when the doubt comes.
Yes.
some people they have doubts in the religion, for example. They have doubts on certain things and so on, because
Yeah.
they are influenced by a lot of things, a lot of ideologies. They
Yes.
listen to many things. They mix with all kinds of people, with all different kinds of ideologies, but they themselves they do not have any
I think, Ustaz, in this current society, right, the main contribution to why humans nowadays they neglect on this part is that they are confused between which one is truth and which one is false. The reason why I bring this up, Ustaz, on the matter of how we should approach or how we should understand the truth. Because nowadays, I think the problem of this current society, humans are neglecting the truth. Humans are being far away from the truth. And some of them, they think that they are dwelling in truth, but they are not actually. They are confused between what is truth, what is false. I give you an example, Ustaz, because I've been studying a lot of podcast influencers out there. Like I said from our previous episode, in the podcast world, content are unfiltered, uncensored most of the time. So they can talk about things that is so complex, and with their complex mind, it became more complex. Like example, they talk about sexuality. They talk about freedom. They talk about human rights. So they think they are dwelling in they are talking about the truth, but the thing that they are preaching, the thing that they are trying to get their get the thing out of their system, is they are dwelling in falsehood, Ustaz. I give an example. I have to bring this up just for discussion purpose. Like people in the Western world, where I view their content, they like to talk about human rights, especially on the topic where how their parents should treat them. They call their parent by their name now, mainly more on the Western culture lah. So they call their parent by name. They say that their parents should respect them by them doing that. So rationally, they are discussing on a topic where it doesn't base on truth. Because if we back it up with our religion and our society, we would definitely say that as a younger individual, you have to respect the elders. You have what more your own parents, right? I can go around and call my parent by their name, because that is not what is the basis of our religion. So again, it boils down to the truth, Ustaz. What are they dwelling about? Are they dwelling on? Are they really preaching and dwelling on the topic of truth, or they are just confused on falsehood matters? So this is the reason where I bring this matter up, Ustaz. Maybe we can indulge further on this discussion.
Yeah, the example that you gave on morality, on respecting children and respecting any of the parents, and all this boils back into the source of the morality that a person believe. How does a person ascertain moral values? What is good and what is bad? How does a person come to that conclusion? What is the thing that he depend on?
Yes.
What is the thing that he depends on? So down here, we as Muslims,
Yes.
By the grace of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, we have the Quran, we have any revelation, we have the Sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So our faith in Allah Subhanahu wa Taala entails that that faith has to believe in the revelation, the revelation of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Of course, there are evidences on the authenticity of these revelations, and in the Quran and so on. We can speak about that. So we have any guidance in that sense. We have any guidance based on revelation. Because at the end of the day, any human beings, they do not know what is good and what is bad.
Yes.
So good is something that Allah said is good. bad in any something any that Allah mentioned any as bad. So we human beings any just any by our intellect, we might make mistakes. We might think any something that is bad as good, and something any that is good as bad. So that is why when comes any to the good any and the bad, we have to depend any on revelation. So this is any the thing, because any human beings and the intellectual capacity of human beings any is the intellectual capacity of human beings any is limited. So this is any the thing any about again any is about any the beauty any of our is about the beauty of our religion. So those any who doesn't have any dependency any on any form any of revelation, so they every one of them any will base any on their own understanding. So somebody any can say that I don't have any to respect any of my parents. So if a person say no, you have to respect any of your parents, he said I don't believe them. It is my opinion. Maybe your opinion, you think any that respecting your parents any is good, but my opinion that respecting your parents any maybe is bad, because we should have any the freedom any of choice, or we should be free in a sense and to
we should not be judged from our
whatever things any that we want to do and so on. We should not any be tied any to anything. Some people any thought any that this is any the freedom any of thought, but in reality it is something any that is bad. How any we know any something any is bad, and we have any revelation. In the Quran any Allah speaks any about for example any the compulsion, the obligation any that children has to respect any their parents.
Yes.
And they are of course any benefits any in the society any. If children any disrespect any their parents, and parents any disrespect children, you will have any breakups any in family.
Yeah.
And even those any who does not any ascribe any to any religion any knows any about this. Any as human beings any we understand any about the benefits any in having any a good any family based any on respect and dignity.
Yes.
So this is the thing, yani, in order for us any to ascertain any the truth, we have any to follow any the path any of the truth. And truth any is something any that is corresponds any to the reality. Truth any is something any that corresponds any to reality. So in Islam, everything any that we believe in corresponds any to reality. Everything any that we believe in, it does not any go against any rationality. So it does not go against any rationality, and it corresponds any to the reality. How do we know it corresponds any to the reality? Because we depend any on revelation, and when we depend any on revelation, any based any on sound any evidences, of course, based on sound evidences, any the one any who brought everything into existence, the same one any who legislate any those laws.
MashaAllah.
So it cannot any go wrong any in that. It cannot go wrong in that. So this is where we are certain on our moral values and what is good and what is bad. We are certain yani, on our beliefs, what is any the truth and what is any falsehood.
Yes.
So we have a guide any in that sense. So the Quran any is our guide, and our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all any the prophets any that came before him, and basically our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he brought any the message of the prophets and messengers any before him. So following any our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is following any all other prophets. Following any the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is following Nabi Isa alayhi salam, any Jesus is following Nabi Musa alayhi salam, is following Nabi Dawood alayhi salam, is following Nabi Sulaiman. So there is no difference in that sense.
The interesting part here, Ustaz, is that how do a person normally realize that this is the truth and this is false? It boils down to how he's been brought up, in terms of his upbringing, in terms of his culture, his religion, and so on. I think that plays a very vital role in his moral progression, especially Ustaz, when we're talking about the truth. I mean, allow me to state some definition that I prepared here. Our scholars have mentioned about what is the definition of truth. Al-haqqu fi lughati afwan huwa thabitu alladhi la yasughu inkaruhu. Meaning that the truth here means is a firm belief that it does not rationalize on the inkaruhu. Inkaru means the
Yeah, basically, basically, when we speak any about the truth, and it is something any that is established, and it cannot any be what you call it be go against it, because any it is something any that is established. So, for example, any we say that we are in existence. So this is any al-haq.
Yes.
So we cannot deny any this reality.
Yes,
Yani,
deny.
what you call it? You see something any in existence, and you say this is something any that exists. So this person any in front of me, any someone any who exists. So this is we say this is any the truth. So by saying any that this person who is any in front of us, any for example, is not in existence, any for example. So it is not rational any to say in a sense, and because any ego it is mustahil.
It go against the firm belief.
It go against the reality because it does not correspond any to reality. It does not correspond to the reality. So this is basically the definition any of al-haq. So al-haq, when we speak any about truth, any is something that corresponds any to reality. So when it comes any to rationality, truth any does not change. When it comes into rationality, truth any does not change. So when we mention any about wajib aqli, for example, when we say something any that is absolute and necessary. So this has a relation any with the truth. Something any that is absolute and necessary must always any happen in that manner. It cannot change. So that is a truth. That is a truth. Any, for example, any we say something is either in existence or non-existence. Something is either in existence or non-existence, but it cannot be existence and non-existence at the same time. So if a person and he says any that I am in existence and not in existence any at the same time, we say this is tanaqud.
It defies the truth.
This against any reality. The reality is either what you call it, if a person is in existence, he is in existence. Something any must either be in existence any or non-existence, but it cannot any be both. We cannot any be saying any something is in existence and not any existence any at the same time. Now this any becomes any falsehood. Why? Because it does not correspond any to reality. Because we know this is mustahil aqli. This is mustahil aqli, and it's something any that cannot any come any into cannot come any into existence. So Islam, and even when we study any theology, when we study any aqidah or tawheed, we study any things any based any as what we mentioned any sound any evidences. Based on sound evidences. We in Islam we don't believe any in something any that is against any reality. We do not any believe any is something any that is impossible. We do not any say that something is impossible can be possible, and you just have to believe. You just any have to blind faith and believe any what is any impossible any is possible. There's no such thing any in Islam. And this is any the beauty any of our religion.
MashaAllah.
So every single any tenets any of faith any can be proven any with evidences, rational any evidences.
Allow me to go further on the meaning of al-haq. Al-haq means the truth here, right? في اصطلاح عند أهل المعاني هو الحكم المطابق للواقع.
Al-hukmu al-mutabiqu lil-waqi'. Yeah, this also you find, for example, Al-Imam Nasafi mentioned in Aqaid Nasafiyya, also in books any of usul, and this is a famous definition.
Yes.
A famous definition. Al-hukmu al-mutabiqu lil-waqi'. This is what I mentioned earlier.
What does it mean?
Al-mutabiq lil-waqi', meaning it corresponds to reality. It corresponds to reality. For example, I say this is a handphone. Type this corresponds to reality. Indeed, this is a handphone. So this is al-haq. This is the truth.
Yes.
But if I say this is an apple, this is batil. Why? Because it does not correspond to the reality. Reality is it is a handphone, not an apple.
But people can say that is an Apple phone, Ustaz.
What's that?
There's an Apple iPhone.
That one is a brand.
Yeah, it's a brand. Yeah. But ajib, MashaAllah.
So this is simple example. When we say it corresponds to the reality, and it truth is something that corresponds to reality. So we say this universe has a creator. This corresponds to reality. Because it is impossible to believe that there is no creator for this universe. So if a person says a universe has no creator, this does not correspond any to the reality. If the universe any has no creator, then who brought any this universe any into existence? So so this is also another example any of our belief in the existence any of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then of course any some people will be saying, but other religions also any believe in the existence any of God, yeah. But then we go into the attributes. We say God any has to be one. It cannot be more than one God, and he cannot be in need any of anything other than him. God, and he cannot has any the attributes any of the contingencies.
Yes.
God, and he cannot be limited any to time and space. God, and he cannot be limited any to contingencies. Yani indwell any into things and so on and so forth. So this is where it gets deeper and deeper. When comes any to believing any in God any rationally.
Yes.
And to take any the path any of the truth. That because you cannot any be believing any into something any that is contradictory. You cannot any be believing any in God, but at the same time any you are saying any that at the same time God any is also in need any of something else. Or you cannot any be saying any that God exists, but there is another God any that exists any with him. Now that is impossible. Any multiplicity any in God's leads any to impossibility.
Yes.
Leads any to impossibility. And this is inshallah ta'ala when we reach any on the attributes.
The 20 attributes.
We will speak any about every single any attribute any with the evidences. But it's just any
the surface.
Like you know, like generally, and we say any generally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is why it is important. Al-Imam Sanusi in the Muqaddimat and he speaks any about hukm al-aqli. So we as Muslims and we have to differentiate any what is wajib aqli, what is mustahil aqli, what is jaiz aqli. So when it comes any to the attributes any of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we say all attributes any of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wajib any aqli, wajibul wujud, and then when it comes any to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we say the jaizul wujud, and the attributes any is also any jaiz. When it comes any to the mustahilul wujud, all these other things any that cannot any come into existence any at all costs.
Yes.
So things any cannot change. And what is wajib and is always wajib. What is mustahil and is always mustahil.
Yes.
What is jaiz and is always jaiz. So this is the platform and basically before entering into learning any about the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we do not any fall any into impossibilities. So we do not think any about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but thinking about believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with impossibilities, because that can lead any to disbelief.
I think now we have a very clear picture, Ustaz, after this discussion on this topic, to differentiate what is truth and what is falsehood. I think from what you lay out, right, the truth is in accordance with the reality, right?
Yeah.
So falsehood is definitely the opposite of it. So I think for those listeners and viewers out there, you have clear picture of what is falsehood and the truth. I think mainly for you to protect yourself from all these false ideologies out there and false theories that you dwell into. So we hope with this it can help you benefit with that intellect framework of your thinking process.
Of course, every claim any of truth any need evidences.
Yes.
And time any is short. We cannot be speaking any about the whole any Islamic any belief in one podcast.
Yes.
but we are speaking about my methodology.
Yes.
Methodology. We are saying that any that this is the truth. So people any will of course any people any will say what are your evidences? You are claiming any that your belief any is the truth. That what you believe in is the truth. What are your evidences? Of course, any evidences and it will come.
We can prove them rationally, lah.
Yeah,
So,
evidences and it will come. That is why it is important for Muslims today to study Aqidah first before anything else.
yes,
And
definitely.
today we need any to understand evidences. It is not enough any you tell a person any believe any that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists. Of course, any we say belief any is important. But at the same time also Muslims any have to be equipped any with rational any evidences any behind every belief.
Yes.
Behind any every belief. Why? Because we are living in a world of confusion.
True.
Correct or not? If you do not have any those any evidences, then that's what we mentioned, any the doubts and it will come in. Now,
Last but not least, Ustaz, before we end this session, I think maybe you can also elaborate on what is jaiz aqli. How do we understand things that is jaiz aqli?
yeah, jaiz is any basically possible.
Mm-mm.
You know this wajib aqli, mustahil and aqli, jaiz aqli. You'll be surprised. And Aristotle spoke about it.
Ajib.
Aristotle, in one of his books, he mentioned these three
Elements,
categories. And then some people, they what you call it, they become confused, and you say Aristotle, and he mentioned about this. So does it mean that our scholars and follow any Aristotle? No. You see, our ulama, they base it on the Quran. The Quran, and he mentioned about wajib aqli. The Quran, and it speaks about mustahil aqli. The Quran, and it speaks about jaiz aqli. So our belief has to be based on the Quran. Our belief has to be based on the Quran. So if someone speaks about something, and the Quran and he also speaks about that particular thing, and we say this is right.
Yes.
This is something that is right. But our belief is the Quran. Our belief is the Quran, and that particular person, maybe he gets from what you call other sources in the revelation, and because Aristotle of course came before Nabi Isa alayhi salam, and he came before our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And some people saying because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent prophets and messengers to the Greeks, to the prophets and messengers, and he came even before Nabi Isa alayhi salam and so on. So this concept of understanding things rationally are present. Even before Islam, and that is not surprising. Ala kulli hal. He also mentioned about what you call it. So it is translated in English. Wajib aqli as the necessary, as the absolute. Mustahil aqli, the impossible. Jaiz aqli is possible.
Okay.
So they categorize this as the possibilities. So what is the meaning of possibilities? Meaning anything that the mind, the intellect, can
receive,
can conceive this as something that is possible. So we say this jaiz aqli. This is jaiz aqli. As long as it is not mustahil and not wajib. If it is impossible to come into existence, it's mustahil aqli, not jaiz aqli. If it is absolute necessity, then it's wajib aqli. Other than that, it falls under
jaiz,
the category of jaiz aqli. So when we speak about jaiz aqli, we are speaking about the things that are possible. The things that are possible. So for example, a person says that one day there will be a person who will make a spaceship that will go to Mars. So based on the rational laws, which category we put this as
jaiz. Possible, it can be possible, it can be.
Yeah, this is the thing. This is the thing. Now we don't see anyone has invented any spaceship that goes into Mars. But is it possible that someone invent a spaceship to go to Mars? We say it is possible. So we say this jaiz aqli. Jaiz aqli. Even though it is not in existence, but it is within possibilities. It is possible that this thing happen. It is not any impossible. Because if you say it is mustahil aqli, meaning it cannot happen. And that, what you call it, is not right. Last time, many people used to think that it is impossible for human beings to fly.
Yes.
1,000 years ago, you tell a person that you fly, what you call it, in 1 hour, in 1 hour you reach Kuala Lumpur, for example. And from Singapore, you reach Kuala Lumpur. But by the air. 500 years ago, people will say you are crazy. Correct?
Yes.
So they thought that is impossible, but that impossible is mustahil adi, not mustahil aqli. So mustahil adi is based on experience, because we have not seen a person who travel from Singapore to Kuala Lumpur in 1 hour. It is based on our observation. We have not seen. So it is mustahil adi, but not aqli. Aqli, we say this jaiz aqli. Just like in Isra wal Mi'raj, and tomorrow when we will have in Isra wal Mi'raj.
MashaAllah.
The Arabs last time, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that I travel from Masjid al-Haram to Masjid al-Aqsa. So he haven't mentioned that he went to Sidratul Muntaha. He mentioned this to Abu Jahl. So the Quraysh and the Mushrikeen, and they were happy, and they thought that this is the time and we can prove that he's crazy. Yeah. But this is jaiz aqli. Jaiz aqli. The Prophet ﷺ traveled from Masjid al-Haram to Masjid al-Aqsa, and from Masjid al-Aqsa to Sidratul Muntaha, and came back. What you call it, it was mentioned that the place where he was resting, it was far from Sidratul Muntaha. So he traveled from Masjid al-Haram to Sidratul Muntaha, and came back. What you call it, it was mentioned that the place where he was resting is still warm.
MashaAllah.
So it is just in a few minutes.
In the house of Ummu Hani, Ustaz.
Yes. It is a matter.
Ajib.
Imagine and if you are sleeping any on your bed. Okay, you're sleeping any on your bed, and then you go
Decide to go
you
toilet.
go up. So when you
Come back.
return any to your bed, any you can still feel the warmth any of your body.
MashaAllah.
So how long any can that be? That is any the
Less than 1 minute, Ustaz, I guess.
based any on experience is mustahil. Any based any on adatan,
Yeah.
yani empirical.
Yeah.
We say impossible. Any a person and he goes and he from Mecca to Baitul Maqdis, Baitul Maqdis, Sidratul Muntaha, Baitul Maqdis and Mecca, and still warm. Yani in a few minutes. Adatan and it is mustahil, but it is not any mustahil akli. It is jaiz any akli. Likewise, any when comes any to if a person if we ask any for example, can a dead person any come to life? If you ask any around any people, any for example, can a dead person any come to life?
Ajib.
Can a dead person any come to life?
Impossible, Ustaz.
Huh? It is impossible.
I would love to see that.
It is impossible.
Yeah.
It is impossible adatan. We have never seen any a dead person any came to life. But it is not any impossible aqlan.
But it's proven by Nabi Isa alayhi salam, Ustaz.
No, you see, the thing is, it is possible. It is possible any that a person any who has passed away resurrect. Okay, now, can I say a story?
Please, sir. Please.
There is an interesting story. This mentioned in Surah Yasin. A man came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam with a skeleton, and he smashed a skeleton in front of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, Ya Muhammad, man yuhyi al-idama wa hiya ramim. He said, Oh Muhammad, who is the one and who is going to bring back life to this skeleton? Yani this person actually dug in a grave, took up a skeleton and placed in front of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in his da'wah that all human beings and will be reckoned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yawm al-qiyamah. That there will be life, after death. There will be the final abode and so on. So the mushrikeen, they don't believe in all these things. So he brought a skeleton and he asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who is the one who is going to give life into these bones? What did Allah say? He said, قل إن من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة. Say, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the one who is going to bring back life into the skeletons is the one who brought that skeleton from non-existence to existence.
Ajib, mashallah.
So if something can come into existence from non-existence, why is it impossible for something that is existence to non-existence and to existence again? So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can bring something from non-existence into existence, do you think Allah is not capable to bring something that has died back into life? So in terms of rationally, we say this is possible. Because if you say that human beings can be created from non-existence to existence, the one who brought human beings from non-existence into existence has the capacity to bring back life to human beings after they pass away. Because which is more difficult? To bring something from non-existence into existence, or to bring something that has died back to life?
I think with people nowadays, Ustaz,
so it's possible.
Yeah, I think everything need to be proven. With the society that we are living in now, they just want to witness the proof right in front of their eyes. So this, I think,
truth can be understood rationally. This is what we mentioned. You know, people are saying, "Oh, it's impossible." And how can a man after he die and he goes come back to life? Some people do not believe. Some people are skeptical. You know, people have doubts and all these things. But rationally, it's possible.
Ajib.
Rationally, it's possible. Maulana Rumi, and he mentioned something very interesting. This is something that I'm amazed. In one of his poems. He said his poem he began by a question. He said, how can any human beings have doubt that after their death they will come back to life? Do you not see a seed when you plant any the seed,
Yes.
when you plant seed, any is something that is not non-living
Yeah.
seed.
Mm-mm.
But when you plant it, when you plant it any in the soil, what
Yeah.
happens after that?
It become a living thing.
It became a plant, and plant any is a living thing.
Mm-mm.
So a plant which is a living thing came any from a non-living thing.
Masya.
So how can you not believe any that human beings any who have passed away will not come back to life when you see a seedling that came any to life, that life and it came out any of the seedling, then why do you doubt any of the seed that is called human?
Ajib.
So he is any making a comparison any of a seed and human beings. So both of them any you plant, correct or not? Human beings also you bury.
Yes.
You bury any in the soil. So he said, why you have doubt any that is human and he will not come back to life? When you see any the seed any that is dead can come back into a plant, then human beings and also can come back to the life.
Masya Allah. But on a very metaphorical way lah, Ustaz.
Yeah,
Yeah,
subhanallah,
Masya Allah.
this is a rational argument.
Masya Allah.
This is an rational argument. So human beings, and if they use any their intellect and they follow any this path, they will be guided, inshallah.
Ajib.
Yeah.
But just a disclaimer first to our viewers and our listeners. We are not trying to deceive you all with all this.
So this Jaiz Aqli.
Yeah.
Meaning because you asked about Jaiz Aqli.
Yes,
So this is an
correct,
example. Jaiz Aqli going back to life.
Because
Say-
why is that? Because I think for some people out there, they think, wow, you all talk so very deep meta stuff. Wow, bring back to life, the dead come back to become alive. So they think we are trying to deceive them. No. So that's why I put a disclaimer first. No, this is based on solid fundamental facts and
Rationally.
through the rational laws, right?
Yeah.
So that's why we think this is possible, as per what our Fadil Mukarram Ustaz has laid out.
As for the meaning any of Jaiz Aqli in terms of definition is something that accept existence and also can accept non-existence. So this is any the definition any of Jaiz. Yeah.
To make it more simple, Ustaz, that means I take example like food. Eating is Jaiz Aqli, Ustaz, I would say, or the act of eating. I can eat now or I can eat later.
Yeah, I mean this is any from possibilities. Yeah, this is based on our actions, and our actions are what you call it in Arabic, and we call it arad. So all these things any are from the contingencies. So what you call it? It is possible. And if, for example, if I say tomorrow and I'm going to have any my breakfast any at 8 a.m. So it's possible. It's possible that I have my breakfast at 8 a.m. It's also possible any that I
You
don't have
can
any
change
breakfast.
the time also.
Yeah. So we say this is possible. It's a Jaiz Aqli. Yeah. We say this is any from possibilities. We do not say it's impossible. Yeah, because it can happen.
Yeah,
It can happen.
yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So that's the very more easier way for us to put it there lah. Yeah, but alhamdulillah, mashallah, we have covered quite a very broad discussion on the topic of Hukum Aqil. We hope our viewers and our listeners out there benefit from this episode, and we would like to thank Al-Fadhil Mukarram Ustaz for guiding us for this episode. Mashallah, Ustaz. Thank you, Ustaz.
Jazakallah khair yani for having me.
Mashallah, mashallah.
Thank you.
So for those who are listening and also viewing this content, please do not forget to like and share our podcast. And for those who appreciate our content, please do not forget also to buy us a coffee, and the link is at our video description below, www.buymeacoffee.com/SNMTV. Inshallah, signing off from Coffee Ustaz. I'm your host Indra Sahib. Till we meet again to the next episode, inshallah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.